All right, so today we're diving into one of the biggest reasons businesses fail, but we're tackling it with a strategy that I promise you probably didn't see coming. We're going to talk about combining really cutting-edge AI with, wait for it, old school billboards. I know, it sounds a little weird, right? But it just might be the secret to actually getting noticed in this incredibly noisy world. Let's get into it. So here's our roadmap. First, we're going to break down what's called the visibility problem. Then, we'll get into the two really surprising tools that solve it. After that, I'll walk you through a clear 7-step blueprint, the how-to. We'll also explore the right mindset for all this and, the big question, how to fund it. And we'll wrap up by looking at what this all means for the future of getting your business seen. Okay, let's get right to the heart of this. Businesses can struggle for all sorts of reasons. But the one that matters most, the one that really sinks them, often comes down to just one single critical thing. So let's ask that question directly. Why do they really fail? Now, your first instinct might be to say, oh, they had a bad product or their service was terrible. But that's usually not the case. It's not about having a bad idea. So what is it? Get ready for this number, because it's a big one. 90%. A full 90% of businesses go under for pretty much the exact same underlying reason. And there it is. Maurice Jackson L. put it perfectly. The single biggest killer of businesses isn't having a bad product, it's obscurity. It's the simple, brutal fact that not enough people even know you exist. You're basically invisible. There's this perfect story that illustrates this. A local guy made the most fantastic pizza. I mean, truly world-class stuff. But he was so obsessed with perfecting the recipe, he totally ignored marketing. He had no system, no plan for getting seen. And what happened? Despite having the better pizza, his shop just vanished. Meanwhile, the mediocre place down the street did just fine. A great product just can't sell itself if no one knows where to find it. Okay, so if being invisible is the problem, how do you solve it? This is where the strategy gets really cool. It suggests we fight back with two very different but equally powerful tools. And here they are in all their contrasting glory. On one side, you've got AI, super modern, automated, working for you online 24/7. And on the other, a classic billboard, hyper-traditional, making this bold, unavoidable statement out there in the real world. You're fighting for visibility on both fronts at the same time. Let's start with the AI. Just imagine having a marketing assistant that never sleeps, never takes a coffee break. It's out there automatically, creating content, running your ads, and responding to leads the second they come in, so you never, ever miss an opportunity. It's all about using data to be incredibly consistent and efficient, which saves you a ton of time while making you look super responsive. And then you've got the billboard. I know it seems so old school, but just think about its raw power. Your brand could be seen by over 70,000 people every single day. It completely dominates the local physical space. It builds authority almost overnight and makes this powerful statement. When somebody sees your ad online and then drives past your face on a giant billboard, you're not just another small business anymore. You're a serious player. Okay, so we've got the tools, AI and billboards. But how do you actually put them to work? This is where we get practical. We're moving from theory to a clear blueprint that can take you from being invisible to totally unmissable. And here is that blueprint. It's a full system for growth. Just notice the flow here. You start with the foundation, your brand, your mission, your online home. Then you get really specific about who you're talking to. Only after all that do you unleash the heavy hitters, the AI campaigns and the billboards. Then you run a focused 90-day campaign. And finally, you analyze the results, you double down on what worked, and you scale it up. It's a real, repeatable process. Now, let's zoom in on step 2 for just a second, because this distinction is absolutely crucial. Think about it. Your social media profiles, that's just rented space. The platform can change the rules or shut you down tomorrow. But a website? That is digital real estate. It's an asset that you own and you control. It is the non-negotiable foundation for everything else. And the same thinking applies to step 1, identifying your mission. This quote just says it all. You can list all the facts and figures about your business, but what truly connects with other human beings is your story. Your why is what sells, not just your what. So, look, executing this blueprint isn't just about ticking off boxes on a checklist. It really requires a modern marketing mindset, one that sees every single interaction with a customer as part of a much larger journey, not just a one-and-done sale. And this is what that journey looks like. You don't just start by asking for the sale. Nope. You start by attracting people with free, valuable stuff. Once they're interested and they trust you, then you sell them your core product. But it doesn't stop there. After that, you upsell them on complementary items. And ultimately, you ascend that relationship into a real long-term community. You're creating a loyal fan for life. Now, if the word upsell feels a little, pushy to you, just think about the candy and magazines at the grocery store checkout. You're already a customer, you're already buying stuff, and they're simply offering you a little more value while you're there. It is the exact same principle, just applied to your business. At this point, I'm sure you're asking the big question. This all sounds great, but how does a small business actually afford to fund this kind of growth engine? Billboards aren't cheap, right? Well, the key is to think beyond your own cash. This means you got to actively seek out business grants. There are local, state, and federal programs available. You should also look into modern fintech funding, which is often way more flexible than a traditional bank. And most importantly, you need to build business credit that's totally separate from your personal finances. It's all about strategically using other people's money to fuel your own growth. So, let's bring all this together for a final thought. We've seen that the biggest threat to your business isn't a bad product, it's bad visibility. And we've just explored a really powerful hybrid solution to that exact problem. So it all comes down to this question. As the digital world just gets louder and more crowded every single day, is the best way to be seen really a blend of the hyper-new and the hyper-traditional? Maybe the future isn't about shouting louder online. Maybe it's about combining the precision of technology with the undeniable authority of the real world. That is a powerful idea to think about. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.